And indeed, among them, there are those who fight a lot with each other. The better they get, the greater the rewards, and fights become inevitable. Even companions end up giving into greed and betraying their colleagues. Hearing that, the bald man didn't want to believe that they killed each other. But there's no one to stop them, not to mention that there are no rules inside the dungeons. You just say a monster killed him, it doesn't even require an alibi. In fact, the higher their rank, the more they need to be prepared to fight others. But things aren't that simple. The sleeper's class wasn't high enough, which is why he's on the ground now. Attacking a companion, that's cute. And if you got caught, it means a peaceful fight happened outside the dungeon. It was certainly a discussion without equipment, but the bald man didn't know what equipment was. It's the weapons and armor that the adventurer takes to the dungeon, even if it's insignificant. With them, even the sleeper could have put up more of a fight. They're strong enough to make a difference. Equipment is half an adventurer's combat ability. He knew the weirdo hadn't dodged his attack. That blow is accurate and forceful, hitting him squarely. The blade has high defense. While thinking, the weirdo told him not to get distracted. Faced with the imminent blow, he blocked the strike with his staff. Being distracted is not very respectful on his part. Neither to his opponent, nor to his own life, which could end in the blink of an eye. Taking advantage of the moment, he kicked the boy in the stomach. The blow was very strong, and he was thrown several meters. Before crashing into something, he stopped his advance by planting his feet on the ground. As soon as he stopped, the weirdo was already on top of him once again, and delivered several slashes with his blade. Unable to block all of them, some small cuts found their way to his body. A small wound appeared on his cheek. The weirdo was now very confident and taunted him, telling him to fight like before if he was capable. That was impossible. The shadow jacket was an S-rank armor, and the weirdo was wearing one. It uses the user's blood to increase defense against physical damage, as well as boost strength. That weirdo, at this very moment, was using berserker combat. It would be hard to find openings, but not impossible. However, if he attempted a poorly planned counterattack, you would die without a doubt. The battle continued, and the weirdo was out of control. A quick slash was made to abdomen height. This caused the boy to panic, and the weirdo said he had fallen for his feet. Even so, he had lasted a long time. However, that wasn't what he expected to see. The boy asked him if today was some special day. Taking off the jacket he was wearing, he stood up and said that he really liked the weirdo's jacket. Despite everything, that guy wasn't as strong as he had imagined. He had been scared because the guy had a huge aura, but if he didn't do more than that against an unequipped student, he must be a mediocre fighter who relies on it. If the boy had a jacket like that, hearing these words hit the weirdo's ego hard. He started screaming uncontrollably and said the boy would pay for his insolence. Jirian knew that the one who needed to hurry was not him. His opponent had to win the fight, find Serum, and finish her off. The advantage was his if he kept driving out the fight. This would make the weirdo impatient, and Jirian was well aware of that. His focus and concentration were entirely on that goal. The weirdo advanced furiously to finish the battle. In front of him, the boy prepared to defend himself. The clash between the weapons was powerful, and made an aura from both. When he was just a little kid, he learned this just by watching. This was the second technique. A vortex of blue aura emerged between them. His strength wasn't enough for this, so he needed the enemy's strength to use it against him and inflict an attack he would be able to do on his own. The name of this technique, which he hadn't even perfected yet, is Swell, and its effect is devastating. That single blow had been extremely powerful. The explosion created by the impact was enormous. He now supported his staff on the ground. His insides were injured, the technique had taken a high toll. You can't imagine you would use that in a real fight, it hadn't even crossed his mind. And to think that professional adventurer would be someone who only attacked head-on and nothing more. He invited the weirdo to give up as his time was up. Drawing a dagger, he told the boy to shut his mouth. His hands were trembling, as if they were afraid. Unexpectedly, he stabbed his own chest with it. The boy hadn't expected that. But the weirdo said that no matter what happened, he would make sure of one thing: killing that brat. On the 5th floor of the department store, something was happening. Serum seemed to have reached her destination. She had come across a box. Then she placed her hand on the blue circle. The box confirmed her identification number and her identity. Now that she had found it, all she had to do was return. Suddenly, she felt something different in the air. She looked back to observe. She remembered what Jerry Allen had told her to run away. Because she needed to be okay, that was the only way they would get money. Now she was thinking that nothing would change even if she fled. The effort to believe in those words was enormous. In her mind, only the weirdo's face appeared. Surely you wouldn't fight if he didn't know a way to escape. Now she contemplated the choices you could make. The weirdo used to enjoy bullying at school. It was one of his favorite pastimes. Indeed, he was a genius. Since childhood, he had felt that everything in his life would be easy. Because he was obviously very talented. Recognition from adults was merely a consequence, just like being the dominant figure among his peers. But there was a complication at that time. A goal he hadn't achieved. He had been rejected by the warrior school. As consolation, he believed that they made political decisions, favoring money over talent. For him, it was the only possible explanation. Because if it were based on talent and skill alone, there was no way he wouldn't have been accepted there. In a test of perseverance, he had ranked first. Compared to the average young person. He wasn't just a genius, he was well above them. Once again, he had ranked highly, something that didn't even surprise his classmates. But he liked knowing that he had become a topic of conversation. Now they were facing the last task before graduation. Half of the graduation ceremony someone appeared. The headmaster congratulated him and said he would be an excellent adventurer. As advice, he told him not to become conceited and to always keep moving forward. Listening to this, he only thought that in front of him was trash. He had retired early and now had a mediocre job. He was determined to rub it in his face that he would reach a place in life that people like the headmaster could only dream of. Now he was lying on the dungeon floor, terrified. The one who rescued him said he had come quickly. Because he thought the situation was dangerous. But he hadn't expected it to be such a weak monster. That very monster had killed his entire team without difficulty. They weren't a match for reality. The adventurer looked at him with a gaze that was familiar to him. It was the same one he used to give to other people. It was at that moment that he realized the old man's words weren't advice. Those were words of comfort about his future. He wasn't one of the chosen. He was just better than the average person. The mediocre looked up to him, but he was only slightly better than them. That jacket was made entirely from a living vampire. And he allowed all his blood to flow to his heart. That's the price for him to kill a boy. In response, he asked if he was sure about that because this little trick seemed like he would give him the hangover. But the weirdo advanced without hesitation. The force of the impact was violent. Despite the change, his speed hadn't increased much. Just his appearance, which was horrifying. The attacks were strong and unpredictable. To the boy's surprise, the weirdo's arm was now stretching. Of all the unexpected things that had happened that day, this was yet another one. Blood dripped onto the ground. The weirdo looked at his victim, who was panting. His stance was defensive, but he was worn out. Somehow, he had managed to block the attack. Indeed, good reaction speed and plenty of talent. The weirdo wanted to know why he had become a smuggler. But the boy didn't understand the question. Opening something with his mouth, he asked what was with that sudden compliment. Because whatever he did with his life wasn't his business. Regardless of the answer, the weirdo thanked him. Thanks to the boy, now he would be able to step on a talented person. Excited, he prepared to fulfill a dream. However, the boy wasn't going to let that happen so easily. Despite the damage he had taken, his body moved without any problem. Seeing this, the weirdo became even more excited and wanted to misuse